Hello, and welcome back to Harlan is in Danger. I am your host, Mitch, and today I'm joined, as always, with my good friend and co-host, Tom.
Hello, I'm also here, and today we are going to be doing our Dream Eaters retrospective. I hope I spelled that right in this slide. Is it retro or retro? I never know.
It's retro. You're good.
Perfect. Cool.
Yeah, so we're going to be talking about the whole campaign, our experiences with it, and seeing the results, and what we're going to be playing next.
Yeah. So let's go ahead and actually just dive right into it. With the decks we play. Oh, fucker. The decks we played on the Dream side. I don't think I'm gonna edit that out. It's too small. So yeah, this is the side that I was in charge of for our run through. I built a Lola Hayes deck and was the lead investigator for myself, and built you a Jenny Barnes deck. And I'm going to talk about my Lola Hayes deck because I don't have too much to say. This is kind of just sort of... It ended up becoming a really, like, what my Lola Hayes decks looks like, which is, like, you know, you have most of your assets in one color, and then, like, events and in one color. So you can see, like, all my yellow cards are basically assets, all my blue cards are basically... events, and then there's kind of some mixes of like purple and red. So yeah,
I see. That's interesting.
Yeah, I kind of fall back on that. So it's like I can still play and like this is a holdover from pre-Taboo Lola when you had to discard an asset from play. I basically try to always end my turn in, for using this deck as an example, blue, and that's why I also have a lot of bold events, or purple, and then I would never really be losing assets. I would just be losing a card from the top of my deck. So yeah. Old habit.
Yeah, I see. That's clever. I didn't think of building Lola that way, but that gives you some kind of assurances.
Yeah.
Nicely done.
It was a fun deck to play. It died. I will talk about this as we get to like the scenarios, but I think this side did start to just get a little bit like we weren't gaining power as much as the scenarios were gaining power towards the end. And there's only so much you can do with I think the threes ladies. So maybe we shouldn't have done two at a time.
Maybe. I was pretty happy with my Jenny Barnes deck, though. I thought she held up pretty well. I know I didn't use the, what's his name? He's not there anymore because looks like he was removed. But the tough guy or whatever.
Hired Muscle.
Forgetting his name. Hired Muscle, yeah.
Yeah.
It was hard to find a window to actually play him to get that combat boost. It was hard to find a window to do anything in this campaign, to just get a card on the table. I felt like that was super difficult. But yeah, I thought it was solid. I thought I basically had anything I would want to have in my hand pretty much at any point. Shame I didn't get to play that Swift Reload. I meant to, but again, it was just like finding the time. And like that one wasn't so much the time because it's fast, but it was like that I didn't have enough resources, or that I didn't have a correct gun, or like a really valuable choice to use it on. So it was kind of like things didn't always line up, but that wasn't really the deck's fault. The deck had pretty much everything I could want, especially for killing enemies. I really loved Delilah. That was fun to actually get a chance to play with her. So yeah, I didn't have any complaints with it. I thought it was fun. Thank you for building me this deck.
You're welcome. And you actually did play Swift Reload once. In the last scenario, you reloaded your gun with a Swift Reload because you were bogged down.
Oh, that's right.
And then you just missed a shot or something like that, so it didn't really feel like it helped.
That wasn't a very memorable play, but yes.
Yeah. I don't know. Yeah, I think this was a fun deck to watch, and especially because I kind of just winged it together, and I was like, we're gonna do some foot stuff because foot is really important in Dream Eaters, I thought, and then we didn't really capitalize too much on that. Like we were doing a lot of evasion, but I think you were hurting a little bit more for fist, which was why I was like throwing the hired muscles in there and then changing those out for Delilah O'Rourke so you could do both. But yeah, I think this is like also kind of this deck sort of exemplifies one of my favorite ways to play rogues, which is like getting a lot of money and spending it immediately, which Jenny's really good at as well.
Yeah, well, and that it paid off in the scenario, the Moon one, where I just felt like I was killing enemies left and right. That was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
So yeah,
fun deck.
All right,
let's take a look at the Waking side. So this is our Mark Harrigan and Minty Fawn decks that you built for us. Why don't you start then?
Yeah, so Yeah, so for my Mark deck, I was pretty happy with the results. I mean, it was pretty basic blue. There were a few other cards I could have added, especially ones we unlocked.
Hmm.
But finding the justification to pay for a level 0 card is just next to impossible for me.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, I think overall I liked it. I think my bigger issue with playing Mark is I really needed to draw cards off of taking damage. For whatever reason, that was just not sinking in because he basically has two abilities. You take a damage through Sophie and get +2, and I would take that and be like, that's my ability. Take damage, get +2. And I would forget that I'm also supposed to get a card out of that.
Yeah.
And I think that would have changed things maybe a little bit. I think I would have assessed the deck differently, or like Mark, especially if I had just more of that going on. Police badge, that was a star player that came in real handy.
That was so
Uh,
clutch so many times, and I like did not expect it to perform that well. And then you just be like, "No, I have 4 brain right now," and it's like, "What? You just passed?"
it just passed. Yeah, yeah. Police badge was awesome. Spiritual resolve, I also thought was great. I think I waited way too long. Well, I guess I had to wait till last scenario to get that one. But spiritual resolve, that pulled some weight. I could just soak damage and horror for days. That was very, very helpful.
Hmm.
Um, Yeah, the only thing I wasn't as impressed with, I think, was Fool Me Once. I kept playing it in the wrong instances. I don't think it was so much the card, but in hindsight, when I was like reviewing footage and stuff, I was like, this I should have played that then, and then I should just use the cancel right away. And I don't know.
Hmm.
It's like I was waiting for the situation to get worse, and it got worse, but when it got worse, it was too late. It would like jump,
Yeah,
and I
yeah,
never
yeah,
got that middle window. Yeah,
yeah. It's
the
a
min deck.
it's a
Oh,
weird
good.
can. Well, Fool Me Once is just a weird cancel that I feel like I've gotten to work before, but it's like it's best on like grasping hands or like those ones that are just like you could do take a lot of damage if someone drew this, right? Like that's where I feel like
Yeah.
just those generic like damage or horror dealers that people aren't
Or
prepared for.
Ancient Evils, anything you got 3 copies of,
Yeah,
it's good.
yeah. Like it's like as far as a tech card, it's kind of weird. Like I know you used it on the spider thing that made spiders drop doom or whatever. And then it was
Yeah.
just like the next time we drew it, it was like kind of inconsequential. And then the next time we drew it, it was
So I
kind
just
of
combined. Yeah.
inconsequential. Yeah, so it was just like really
Yeah.
consequential the first 2 times we drew it. So we're like, all right, we're stopping it now.
Right, right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know. I wasn't super pleased with that one, but I'll try it again at another date, I'm sure.
Hmm.
As
It's
for the men deck, oh,
I was just
sorry. You ready?
yeah. Again, it's just one I haven't grasped my head around as far as cancels go. But as for the min
Gotcha.
deck, those cancels, I had a lot of them.
Yeah, you had like 4 or something like that by the
Yeah,
end.
yeah.
No.
I think that was the other thing
Yeah.
with that Fool Me Once play. I was like, you did the Fool Me Once, and I was like, well, I have a Test of Will in hand and a Forewarned in hand, but sure.
Okay, so I will say this was intentional in terms of one of the ways I tackled the at least the Dream Eaters as a whole campaign is lots and lots of cancels. Is just stop the encounter deck because the encounter deck is just awful. I
Hmm.
mean, sometimes yeah, it's like inconsequential, but a lot of cards in there that can be a real problem for you. And so that's why I just shoved a bunch of cancels specifically into Min because she had a little bit more space. There was a ton of enemies this campaign, so I think it
Yeah,
was good that Mark lead on combat and then Min was cancel and clues. I did feel like in retrospect that there definitely wasn't like enough versatility in Min's deck. Like there were a number of instances where like I literally can't do anything. And so I
yeah,
think the unexpected courage just came in way too late. They needed to show up much, much earlier. Um,
yeah.
yeah.
That was I think yeah my only complaint about it was there was just times where I was like, well, my book's still 4, so I can't beat this shroud, and I don't have any fist icons to help you shoot with your Colt, so I guess I'm just gonna kind of draw cards and hope. Drew logical
Yeah.
reasoning. Do you need horror healing? No, we're doing okay on horror because I've been canceling stuff. Cool. uh,
Yeah.
yeah, I know. I actually had a lot of fun with this deck, which I was kind of like I was excited to play it. This like red and yellow are kind of my 2 least played colors,
Mm.
because that's just kind of the way it shakes out. I play a lot more blue and purple, and then I weirdly play a lot of green. I think. So
Mm.
I was kind of like I was having fun, and I was like, these are cool cards that I haven't really gotten a chance to play with. I really liked the like just get clues instead of investigating. That felt really fun, and kind of really
Yeah.
suited my play style. Um, yeah, I think like the only issue I had with it was I was sitting. There was a lot of times where I was just sitting there with like a lot of cards in my hand that were cancels, and then I draw a card. And I'm such a trained Mystic player that when I see a treachery card, I'm not like, should I cancel this? I'm like, nah, I can take this.
Well, and you kind of could because I gave you the cherished keepsake and the leather
Yeah,
coats.
I also had so much soak in this deck. It was incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was just like, I can't really die. And then there was that one scenario that I died, and I was like, kind of just a shocked face.
So that was partly intentional too. Like, I noticed that buying exile cards and giving them to a player, it felt great to have you exile them. I was like, sure, that's what it's for. I don't
Yeah.
mind at all. But when I buy it for myself, it's like, I have to rebuy this, and then that doesn't feel as good. So I don't know. If you're considering playing exile, make someone give you the deck with exile cards.
That's
You'll
such,
both feel way better
that's
about
such a
it.
good that's such a good way to do it. Yeah, I've recently just come around on exile cards. Like, I think the Stella deck came out and it had that like deja vu or whatever permanent, and I was like, cool, this makes it viable. And then like I started buying cards before buying that, and then I'd only exile one or two cards, and I'd be like, I could just buy these back instead of buying deja vu to get three back. That kind of feels like a waste. I should wait until I and like playing that way of just like I'm spending 2 XP instead of to get back my Test of Wills or to get back my flares was just kind of made me be like, this is actually really easy and not that bad of a thing to do. Like these cards do consistently perform like one or two levels up. I don't really mind buying them again 2 or 3 times.
Yeah. Hmm.
So
Yeah, that's a good way to look at them as well.
yeah,
Yeah.
it I do want to like actually try Fire Extinguisher level 1 to see if it's worth it. I still don't know if it is, but
I'm sure
maybe.
it's not, but
Maybe.
maybe.
If I exile it, maybe. Like, that exile ability is kind of cool.
Yeah, what is it? Auto evade everybody?
Auto
Is that
evade
what it
everybody,
does?
yeah, it's like a cunning distraction on the stick, but you can hit things first.
I guess it's cheaper than
Yep.
cunning distraction. So yeah, I guess there's a value there. If you like cunning distraction, which I do,
Hmm.
so yeah, maybe I could see that.
Yeah, no, I could definitely see it like in a weird Preston deck or something like that that just runs cunning distraction and fire extinguishers to always have everything evaded.
Hmm. Yeah.
That'd be a weird deck.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna play that deck. I'm done trying to make Preston work, I think, for a while. So that's not what we're
Oh,
talking
all right.
about. Other cards that I think like actually really stood out in this deck that I was kind of really happy to see. I really liked Arcane Insight. I didn't think I was going to. Um, but
It's not
it
bad.
was kind of fun, yeah. And like I feel like Min had the draw to actually get it and find it, even if it was a one-off. True
Mhm.
Understanding was great when I could commit it to when I had like my signature
Yeah.
out, my analytical mind, and I could commit it to anyone's test, and I just park myself on a location with clues and be like, "You gonna do a test on a treachery card or an encounter card this turn? Cool. Here's 2 extra symbols, and I'll get a clue." That was really fun.
Yeah. Hmm. Yeah, yeah, I was happy to see that one perform. That's always a very frustrating card for me.
Hmm.
Um, but again, it was like, hey, you found something useful to do with it.
Yeah.
Even like the Arcane Insight, that doesn't super have great like synergy necessarily. It's just a weird one-off. But I put it in there just because it's like a fun thing to play around with. And so, having a little spice in your deck, I think goes a
No,
long
it,
way.
it was super helpful, especially since I have no like way to boost my intellect in this, or I had no way to boost my intellect in this deck. It was just like I'm gonna be investigating at 4. If I investigate, maybe I'll commit some cards. So having like a take it
Right.
down by 2, like flashlight that's for the whole turn or whatever. It was just like this is good. This helps me a lot.
This gives me a chance.
This gives me like if I don't have anything to do, if I don't have like a art student or a chance encounter or a raven in my hand, I can still get clues at a high shroud
Hmm.
location. So it was yeah, it
These
actually
were
really helped.
Yeah, and these were both very good decks, I think, for showcasing that healing can be a viable option when you're playing.
Hmm.
Um, because both of us needed lots of, or I mean, you didn't need lots of healing, but you had lots of soak, and then you were healing me.
Yeah.
And taking those actions to do that, I mean, I guess it makes sense because Mark likes to take damage, and just like
Yeah, yeah,
Agnes
yeah.
likes to take horror. But even so, I feel like it makes me wonder about other decks I can build that can have like a healing like fraction of their deck dedicated to just that.
Hmm.
If everything else is super strong, maybe you can use healing just a ways to keep your momentum going so you don't lose pace.
Yeah.
There might be something to that.
Yeah, I think like in looking at your cards, I think like Second Wind is like probably one of my favorite healing events. Like just because it
It's
replaces
great.
itself,
Yeah.
it heals 2 damage. The only restriction is like you have to do it first action. But usually, if you draw a treachery
You gotta
card, which
wait.
is when you want to do it, you didn't draw an
Hmm.
enemy, so you can do it. It's
Exactly.
kind of like that
Yeah.
nice like it tells you how it shows you how to play it with the extra boost, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. That's a good teaching moment from that card as well.
yeah,
Yeah. Good point.
yeah.
Hmm.
All right, yeah, these were fun decks. You didn't upgrade your guns at all. I just realized those are just level 0 guns that
No.
you just had. They
I had
worked.
that passive 5, and then if you put in Gret, then I'm a 6.
Yeah,
So I just yeah, I like upgrading the Colts, but we didn't unlock those cards because they were
yeah,
returned to Carcosa.
yeah.
So I was like, all right, I guess I'll have to
That's
pass.
why you didn't do that. I every time you played a cult, I was like, still hasn't upgraded him. Wow.
It wasn't by choice.
It's not in the pool. Okay, cool. All right. Well, I think we're gonna move on and start doing our scenario reviews then. And I guess we'll
Mhm.
just go ahead and start with Beyond the Gates of Sleep. So we're just gonna kind of
Yeah.
riff on this, talk a little bit about it, talk about our experience, and argue about whether it was hard or not. And for those of
Mhm.
you keeping track at home, I believe the dream side is easier. You believe the waking side is easier, correct? I didn't get that mixed
Yes.
up. Cool.
No, you got it.
Uh, and stay tuned because at the end of this we'll give the definitive answer of what is the harder side. That's not true. I don't think either of us have changed our mind really.
I haven't.
Yeah. So here we
Spoilers.
are. So this is I think probably the easiest scenario in the campaign. I'm going to start with that bold claim because the first half of it you do not have an encounter deck.
You do. It's just
You-
nothing but ancient evils.
It's so okay. What's the test of this scenario? The test or this first half of the scenario is to just get down the stairs. If you're not
Very,
drawing
very
encounter
quickly,
cards,
yes.
if you're not drawing encounter cards, that's you. I mean, like that's not a big deal. I think you get down pretty consistently, pretty easily. You don't have anything stopping you. There's no enemies that show up and are like, "Oh, I'm gonna put a wrench in your plans." There's no like things that break your assets and say like you can't get clues anymore.
Sure.
It's just your cards against some tests. And that
Yeah.
sometimes, yeah, I guess there's still variance in like what cards you draw in the chaos bag, but really it's not hard. It's very easy to get down the steps in a reasonable amount of time.
Yeah, I think so. If your goal is, and this is going to kind of pervade all of the dream side, if your goal is just to complete the scenario and get a resolution, then sure, you can do that. But like, in order to get everything that you need or everything that you want, especially, then that's a different story. Because like in this one, yeah, if you just want to go down the stairs and then like investigate a couple locations and then get like enough and just kind of clear the stage, I feel like you can do that and that's pretty reasonable. You have to be a little cautious of the gug that
Yeah.
shows up spontaneously, but other than that I don't feel like any of the other locations are so punishing that you can't recover.
Yeah.
um but the problem is if you don't get enough XP, it creates this snowball effect for future scenarios that makes it really hard to come back from. Because
If
my
you
first run of this was just
you follow the guidance and don't stray from the path. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
Don't
it's
do
traumatizing.
that.
I mean,
It'll color your perception of the whole dream side of the campaign for years to come, and you'll refuse to
it,
admit that the waking side is harder.
it did. It was so devastating. My campaign, my whole team, the three of us were just destroyed. But I mean, I was Patrice, and I got to that location, and I thought, hey, I have so many. I built my deck to do nothing but, just commit cards for
Mhm.
lots of icons. So I was like, why don't I just spend my turn, you guys, and just populate this location full of clues? I'll give you guys all my cards. You just investigate and do whatever you need to do. And they were like, that's a great plan. So we thought we were being clever, and the designers were like, you were being foolish. And it was like, we followed your instructions. I'm sorry.
Okay, but as
There should be compensation.
agreed, there should be. You should get like 3 XP or something for it. I don't know, or like a 3 XP and like a dud card that does something that adds to your deck. That's like
Yeah, some story card. Yeah.
loyal, or like I don't know, what are those guys called? The gatekeepers. the door
Oh, you
men,
get like Nashed and
or like
Karantan or
just like
whatever.
their blessing or something because you followed their
That would be
orders.
cool.
Yeah, and it's like
That would be rad.
doesn't do anything, but it's just a card in your deck. Keep with the design of like you're supposed to kind of stray from the path, but just like give a nod to those who didn't stray from the path. So it's like
Hmm.
becomes an interesting challenge rather than like you just did that wrong. Yeah.
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 Yeah. I like this scenario all the same. I enjoy it. I think it's fun. I think getting that last one or two BP is really tough,
Hmm.
but I think it's a good tough. I don't think this one's too hard. I don't think I would recommend this scenario to a new player. I think they should start with a different campaign. I think it's a little
I
harsh.
don't think I'd recommend Dream Eaters to a new player, but that is also coming off of just getting a little bit hurt. So we'll get to that. We'll get to that. Yeah, the one other thing I want to say about this is you can get a lot of VP in this. You can get a lot of victory from this scenario. I think like the first time I played it, and we did like I think we actually did do a full clear of this the first time I played it, and we walked away and
Mhm.
we have like right we got 12 of 13 or something. Maybe there's 13 possible.
Okay.
So we walked away and we had like 12 victory points, and we were like, wow, we've never been this spoiled in Arkham. I love this.
Huh.
I love this scenario. I had like very much the opposite reaction of just like you got 0 and I got 12, and I was just like, oh, look at all these points. I could buy so many things. Yeah. And then like
Yeah.
this is kind of a good segue if you have nothing else to say about Beyond the Gates of Sleep. So then moving
I'm
on
good.
to Waking Nightmare, I remember like getting 10 and being disappointed because the other side got 12.
Oh my gosh. Okay, that's a comment, I guess. I feel like 10 is plenty
No, it
for
was.
opening scenario.
It's definitely no, it definitely is. But I just remember being like, this isn't even like this is my Libra coming through. It's like it's not fair. These investigators on the Waking side are gonna have they had a harder scenario. I do think this is a harder scenario than Beyond the Gates of Sleep, especially if you don't like know about the choke point thing. Um, and then
You have to do the choke
yeah,
point.
yeah,
If you mess up the choke point, you can recover. I've done it on multiple occasions. It's possible, but you need to be really fast. I hope you're playing someone who can just kill enemies like almost instantly, or you have very good evasion tech
yeah.
because you won't have time to do everything else. You just have to go and like sealing off that choke point is like the absolute essential. But if you do that, the scenario is super easy. Like, I mean, it's just a breeze to walk through. And I
I
guess that's my counterpoint is that the other one,
mm,
I don't feel like it's ever a breeze because even if you stay at the location like we did, you get bombarded with all the enemies on the one spot. And so you have to deal with them round after round. So you can't even take like, oh, I'll just straight follow the path. It's only two actions to populate a clue, and I can use my other action to do whatever the encounter deck needs me to do. You can't even do that. So I feel like this one is definitely easier. You just have to know where you need to be. Like
I
maybe not the first time
hundred
through. First
percent,
time through,
100% disagree. No,
we
no,
destroyed
I
it.
refuse. Oh yeah, we did good. I refuse, but like we did really good on the other one with Lola and
But
Jenny.
we didn't get the magical 12, 13 XP
No,
that
but
you were
we still
anticipating.
got more. We still
Did we
got
get more
11.
that
Yeah,
first
we got
time?
11 the first one. We missed one victory or something like that, or two victory. I think we got 11, and we got I think 9 or 10 because we didn't get one of the Grey Weavers in Waking Nightmare.
Right. Yeah, we missed a Grey Weaver because he never showed up. I
Yeah.
mean, I could have teched that, but
Well, and
it was more important
so
to
okay,
complete the
okay.
scenario.
I don't think maybe we need to talk about our definitions of difficulty, and maybe we should have done this a long time ago. I don't think teching for a scenario makes it easier. I think like a standard deck should be
Okay.
able to go through a scenario if it's easy, right? Any
Sure.
old deck, and I think like so that's kind of like maybe my thing with Beyond the Gates of Sleep and Waking Nightmare is a standard deck I feel like could go through Beyond the Gates of Sleep, get a decent resolution, get a decent amount of XP. I think you do end up teching a lot more for the Waking side to deal with Grey
Yes.
Weavers because they suck. Deal with the infestation bag in Waking Nightmare. I don't want to get too far ahead. Or the like orderlies or whatever. To just sort of
Sure.
there's a lot more like things that you can prepare for on the waking side.
Yes.
But to compensate for that, there's a lot of randomness and silliness on the Dreamer side, which is just like hard to deal with a specialized deck.
Right. So in my mind, I feel like that makes the dream side harder because it doesn't matter if you tech for it. The game is just gonna say,
Don't
F
tech
you, I
for
don't care
it.
what you
Don't
brought
tech
to.
for it, and then you're good.
I'm not gonna build a random set of cards and then be like, oh sure, whatever. Like that doesn't like
It's whimsical.
if I can it's not whimsical, it's annoying. In this one, like I teched for it and made it easier on us, and then it was easier on us. Like at least in this, like not every scenario,
Yeah.
sure. Like I agree with you. The second one got really swingy, but like I teched for it and made it easier, and so it's like to me, that's the reward I get for being a really tactful
But I
player
didn't
and
tech for.
strategizing.
But I didn't tech for Beyond the Gates of Sleep, and we still got more XP.
Yeah, but let's. I'm not. I'm not gonna shoot my cannonball attack until later. So let's just move on.
Yeah, well, I'm waiting for that. I know that's coming, but
I will say. I will say the Waking Nightmare is, I think, a really great starting scenario for new players.
I
Though
think
I
so
think
too.
this one would be fine because it's
What
not. It doesn't overwhelm you with mechanics. You might lose, but you're
infestation?
gonna learn it from that first round. Okay, this is what's gonna happen, and
Yeah,
then if you try it again, I think you'll get a much better result because the mechanics of it are just really straightforward. It's a very nicely designed scenario, and it's the one that I think people will cite as like oh, like if you didn't want to start with maybe like Midnight Mass, like this is a good kind of replacement test scenario, and I
mm.
totally agree with that. It's got a decent amount of randomness, but I mean, it keeps you on your toes, but you can, like I said, kind of get a hold of it. And it's a good, like, did you pass that threshold or not? Like getting control of the scenario in time. If you did, your deck's probably pretty good. If you didn't, your deck might need a little tweaking, or maybe it was just slightly bad run, but it's probably your deck, right? So,
Maybe. I don't know. Uh, I think. What was I gonna say? I don't like the infestation bag. I think that's something that I just need to stay before we move on from this one. I don't like it. I hate it.
it's whimsical.
The infestation bag is whimsical. Reaching into a bag and pulling out spiders. No, that's not whimsy. I don't like how you define whimsy. um, yeah, I don't know. I think it's like there's yeah, you're right. There isn't a decent amount of like a threshold that you try to pass
Yeah.
in this scenario. But I kind of I don't know. I would
We
like
can return to this one
yeah.
if you want to move on.
Yeah, let's just move on. I think I lost my idea, so whatever. It's time for Search for Caddis. This is a great scenario. You get 12 XP in the first scenario, and then you go on Joey's little boat ride. It's great. And some people think you have to get 100% of everything, but that's not true.
This one, I've decided that this scenario just frustrates me. I mean, I will say to your credit, I felt more like I was actually on a vacation this time, just for the way you walked me through it. That was a lot more fun. But like in general, this scenario just pisses me off because it's like go on a fun vacation. It's like your time, hurry up, and I'm like I don't want to feel stressed when I'm on a vacation. So stop this. It's like you're being hunted down by these things that are trying to kill you, and it's like I don't want that.
Yeah, but you can always like I don't know. I think like yeah, the doom clock's a little tight, but if you
It's super tight. It's like it's designed for like two, maybe three if you're really good. And
Mhm.
I don't like that. I think there should be a way to do either all four, or it should just stop you after you get the three. It says you're done. Like if it flipped after you've explored three islands on the agenda and said, okay, then you're done. That's it.
That's
That's
not
enough.
very Arkham Horror. Arkham Horror wants you to push yourself. No, I mean like I think it's possible to do four. I don't think I'm ever gonna build a deck that does four. And I think like also because of the randomness that the Dream Side employs, it really like
Mhm.
you do have to get lucky to do all four. But
You do.
I don't think that's the point. I really like I don't know. And again, this is
It's not the point, but that doesn't make it any less frustrating to play when
I
you
don't know.
want like this goal and the game says no, you
But
cannot
okay,
have that.
it's done that before. Like there's several different scenarios across Arkham that do that. Like we've talked about this. I've brought this up in our our talking of Search for Katath at the end of that. But like Boundary Beyond, Midnight Masks, the second scenario that is oft cited as one of the best scenarios in the game,
Yeah,
has like a variable win condition that's doable. But
missing out on one cultist who's going to show up in the very next scenario is a completely different ball game than an entire island
mhm.
that you just don't get to experience any of the story, any of the lore, any of the cool characters that are there, all of that. Like you could miss the Manticore and just have an Arkham experience that doesn't include the awesomeness of the
but
Manticore. And I can't,
I
ugh.
think that's kind of necessary to want to replay this scenario, right? Like, if you can get all four every time, why would you keep wanting to come back to this scenario? Like, this way you can go and say, like, oh, I didn't see the Manicore last time. I'm going to go visit the Manicore and have tea with the Manicore. Um,
Up to you with the Manticore.
or,
Yeah, I mean, I see what you're saying. I don't think it makes it necessarily harder, to be clear. I just think it frustrates me. I think they
mm,
contextualize it as like, go and explore, you have a ship, have fun. And then when I start playing it, they pelt you with Doom. And they have like encounter cards where it's like, oh, you're getting a Doom unless you brought a cancel with you. And that just is so frustrating to me. It's like it feels like I don't know. It just kind of like bogs you down. It's like something grabbing my heels and is like holding me back as I'm trying to walk and like move.
friend,
And like your deck doesn't function because of the encounter cards. So it's just like
you
these
just,
other things that are associated with it just kind of have this like
it, it,
dragging
you
feeling.
know, like how when you get a massage, it kind of hurts? That's what Search for Kate Caddis. Would help if I could say the name of this scenario. Search for Kadath is. Just a rough massage, but it's actually good for you. You just gotta let go. Embrace the randomness of the encounter cards. Stop trying to optimize everything. Just relax. Go have tea with the Manicore.
I got nothing left to say on Search for Kadath. It can be fun. It's just very difficult too.
I think it's great. I think it's a fun time. I usually visit 3 islands and then say, "All right, I'm gonna go jump on another ship because I want to get
I'm
this last sign
usually
of the god."
I usually do that too, except I'm rushing through the whole thing because you have to rush.
No,
If you don't
no,
rush,
you
you can
don't
do.
understand. No matter whether you rush or not, you're gonna get about three. Just
No, I've
enjoy
gotten
it.
like two before. I've gotten like two or even one if it doesn't. But I mean that's in like solo.
Yeah.
Is like
Okay.
one
And
or two is actually like a very realistic outcome if you get hit with the
yeah.
wrong set of cards and you don't have the right stuff to kind of deal with it. I mean, that's like more edge case. I mean, I haven't had enough. It sounds like, I'm willing to give you this one. This one is fun, but it's like, I think I've only played it. I think the only time I've played this in which it was like fun and relaxed and we got three comfortably was this time we played. Every other time has been like stressful and rushing and like trying your hardest and you're either doing well or you're doing really bad. And
So what I'm hearing is your
yeah,
opinion on Search for Kadath has changed a little bit since this last play.
that's what I said.
Sweet. Yes. That means I could say it about a different scenario later, and it's not admission of anything. All right.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah.
any more to say on this one? I think we've talked a lot about this one.
No,
All right.
I'm good.
Now we have at least 1,000 Shapes of Horror, which is a scenario I've
Yeah.
still never won. What does the silver key do? I don't know. Does Randall betray you? Randolph betray you if you get it? Maybe.
This was the first time I've not gotten the silver key. This was the first. This is not the first time I've lost this scenario though. I have lost it before doing a two-handed deck for the
Mm-hmm.
league actually. Yeah, the unnameable. He has a very vicious bite that comes out at the very end, and if you do not tech for that, you are dead. And by tech for that, I mean you have to account for like that evil encounter card that reshuffles the stairs. You have to account for evasion. Like you have to evade.
Yeah.
You can't. I think that's where this scenario crosses the line. If you could just shoot him and deal like maybe like 3 damage to him, maybe that evades him. that I think would be fair. But it doesn't even let you do that. It's like, no, no, you do it this one way. And like not every investigator can be so malleable.
Hmm.
Like, I don't know. I think that that's where this one crosses the line. There's also like a crap ton of enemies. There were so many enemies in this one. So, but
Yeah.
I didn't mind that as Mark. I just shot them. I think I didn't guide us well enough. I should have told you to preserve
Yeah.
uh your elixir because
Yeah.
we needed that for the boss. I should have just gone and shot those monsters and been like, we'll take an extra round. We'll take an extra 2 rounds because we had time at
We
the
did
end. We
have we
had
did
like
have time. Yeah.
it was a ton of time. So yeah, that was my mistake there, just on
Yeah.
not guiding us correctly
And
through it.
that's usually what happens to me is like I think like I even said there was like a couple ghouls gathering at the basement and I was like, hey, you should maybe go take care of those, like we're gonna have to get through those in a
Yeah.
second, and I think you did. But usually what happens is like we get everything in the house and we're like, cool, there's 4 ghouls down there, crap. The unnamable's coming. um,
Yeah, you get splinched between the
yeah,
two, and it's
yeah,
a really tough like hurdle to climb out of. Like
yeah.
you're gonna take some damage. So
So yeah,
yeah.
I think we got lucky with the ghouls this time. We didn't get. I will give you, we did not get lucky with the rooms, the staircases. That was rough. The last one being like the unnamable's
Oh,
here, and then we got an endless descent, and it was like because there was like I think I could have gotten out right, but I was like I want to get you out too. I want to save you.
yeah.
Um,
Hmm.
and then
And yeah, none of them gave us the clue ones. So you
yeah.
were just like, well, I
Oh
guess. But I mean,
yeah.
that's also my fault too, because I made Min too focused. I needed her to like flex out of that
Yeah.
earlier. So like but see, this is why partly why I like this campaign is like I learned something about the scenario for what to do differently for it. Whereas like the next time I play like Search for Kadath,
Just let
my
it go.
approach is going to be don't care, just let go.
Just
And
let
it's like
go.
that's a very weird instruction.
Just that's what you needed to learn. You just needed to learn like it's okay. It's the dreams. None of this is
Yeah.
real, as the black cat says. um,
Yeah. This one though, I feel like we saw the clear path of what we could have done differently and we would have gotten out, I think.
yeah, I
Had
think
we
so.
just made a few other choices. We were because
Yeah,
we were so close. We were right there.
I feel like that's every time I play this scenario. Though I'm like, I see what I did wrong, and then I come back and I do this something different, and something else kills me, and I say, okay, cool, I see what I did wrong, but it's still like I still keep dying. I don't know. I think that's like where the difficulty comes in for me. Is like I can't. It feels to me like I can't build a deck that does everything for this, or I can't build a group that does everything for this that this scenario wants me
Mm,
to do. Um,
I see.
and I know it's possible because
Yeah.
you're telling me you've done it before, but I feel like there
Yes.
is like a swinginess there that I'm just not grokking or like I don't know.
Yeah, I mean,
Because I keep getting
and I
killed
mean,
and I keep seeing how I died.
yeah. Yeah, I mean, I've done it with a group. I've done it solo with Wendy, but that was like my ultimate Wendy deck, and I
Yeah,
tested it through like 6 or 7 times, and then I did the league, and I had a reasonably good run in the
yeah,
league. But like in all my testing, like there was like 1 or 2 times in which I died, but it wasn't that much. It was pretty clean. I could get through it pretty consistently. But like Wendy is like really strong for this, and she's really strong in general because
yeah,
she can cancel encounter cards, she can evade the unnameable, she can take extra actions with Leo DeLuca. So she had everything that she needed
yeah.
to just like, but like this is like optimal. Like if you're the best investigator of the game and you have like the perfect deck, yeah, you could probably beat this one consistently. So yeah, I do
Yeah,
think this one you need to really, really, really be conscientious of what you're up against. And so, yeah, I'm willing to relent on this one too, that it's a little bit harder than I think I was giving it credit before. I was kind of because I have had really easy runs through it, or I've had acceptable runs through it, and I haven't died that often. But now that I've died a couple of times by the unnameable, just like hanging around and being so difficult to get off your back and not having any option to deal with him, yeah, I feel like it's a little rough.
yeah, yeah. And I also feel like Mark and Min were not actually the investigators for this scenario. They were the investigators for the other 3 scenarios in this campaign, but like the 2 foot or
Mm.
having to take damage to get higher was just a little rough.
Yeah, that was hard on them.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
Well.
I gambled with the strange solution, but it wasn't enough.
Yeah.
Uh,
I should have saved it.
mhm.
I just was also like, I don't want to die to this ghast or whatever it was.
That was my fault, though. I should have told you no and just went in and shot him.
Yeah.
So,
Oh well. We
oh well.
learned, and I'll probably die next time, and you'll probably get past it. So
I
I
think now what we should do, new challenge. You take me through Gadath, get all 4.
islands. I'll take you through this and not die.
I don't know if I've ever actually gotten all 4 islands because I don't think that's the point, but sure. We'll figure it out. I'll start like heavily teching for Search for Kadath, and I don't know how you tech for that. I also
You don't.
I don't play
I don't
tech.
think.
I don't really play tech decks either. Like I just kind of play cards I
Hmm.
want to like because we both took adaptable on like the dream side, and I was like, yay, we get to switch out cards if I want to.
Yeah.
And I think adaptable is commonly used to like tech for this scenario, and I have never used it like that once. I'm just like, cool, I get to play with level 0 cards. That's fun. Um, what was the other thing I wanted to say? Oh, yeah, okay, so now that we've had you kind of relent on these last 2 scenarios, it's time for me to relent on a scenario, and that is Dark
It
Side
is.
of the Moon. Normally things don't go that bad.
Sometimes they do.
I've definitely had people die on Dark Side of the Moon, but usually that's because like we've decided, okay, hey, your alarm level got out of control, you can't get on the boat. Goodbye. Um,
Okay.
and you're just a martyr for the rest of our team. I'm gonna throw some dynamite at you. So yeah, I've lost people on this one. I think this one is like a more difficult scenario, but I've never, maybe not never. I think I've actually doomed out on this one before as well, or not doomed out, but been destroyed on this one before as well. But those were pretty
Yeah.
optimal decks. This one was rough, for us because I think, and I think I said this in the video. Like I think I was just like, I'm worried about canceling things. I want to have cancels, and that's not how you're supposed to play the dream side. You're supposed to play the dream side just embracing chaos, and you got in my head. I was trying too hard to like show you how easy it was, and I made it harder for us. So
I don't know if you made it harder because I felt like I was doing pretty okay with Jenny. I mean, there was
yeah,
like a couple rough patches, but for the most part, I felt pretty confident. I was like, our alarm levels, like I kept my alarm level down
yeah,
for a good chunk of the scenario, and I was killing enemies, and I was like on top of it. But then the alarm level pinged when the Doom flipped, and it was like, oh shoot, we're on the last agenda.
yeah,
And then the Moon Beast showed up. Then it's like if he had showed up earlier, I could have killed him
yeah,
and then like brought it back down. But he had to show up late. I was like, okay, when I don't have enough like ammo or time or health or just anything to deal with this guy, so I have to accept a higher alarm level and just run.
yeah,
And so at that point, it was like one doom up and then it was like no, you're done, and I just I couldn't pull out of that. And yeah, I guess I don't know, I was more like disappointed in my I wasn't disappointed in myself though. That's the thing, like I felt like I did the best I could,
hmm
and I actually love this scenario. I think this one's a lot of fun.
I
I don't
really
really
like
even
this one.
mind losing to it that much. It's just and I wouldn't even say it's like the hardest one on the dream side. I don't feel that way at all, but I do feel
No,
like
that one
it's
definitely
tough.
goes. The hardest one on the dream side definitely goes to the one scenario on the dream side we haven't talked about, and I think like that. I don't think my opinion has changed. I think that's the hardest scenario in Dream Eaters, but we'll get to that when we get to that.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I think like you actually did really well in this scenario. I really think like I'm a little disappointed in the way I played Lola in this scenario, and I think
Okay.
like when I was going back through the edits on this, I was like, man, Tom, this is like really where you started to just like Lola started to get a little bit under curve, and like it was just starting to become a little bit more obvious that my deck was not performing quite as well as the scenario wanted me to, and I
Mm.
just felt like crap. I was making bad decisions because I was like, I'm not doing as good as I should be, so I should was trying to be more cautious and not really keeping the pace up for the rest of us because this scenario is also really gated around how fast your Kluber can move, and I was Lola.
Yeah, that makes sense. If the Clover moves quickly, they get everybody else access to that crucial choke point.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
even if they go down, actually, that's what happened to me the first time we went through it with this sabotaged team. Is that I was Patrice still, and my Clover went down, and my fighter went down. I persevered because I had level 2 Peter, and so he could soak quite a bit of horror. And everybody had to, I felt terrible. They had to sit, my sisters had to sit and watch me for like 25, 30 minutes as I played the game solo. And they were just kind of like with bated breath, like, is he going to make it out? And I'm like, I'm trying.
Yeah.
I eventually got the alarm level down, and then I made it through to the end. So it was, so I guess that's why this one, maybe that's why this one gets a little bit of a pass, is like, man, if you have enough freaking willpower,
Yeah.
you can make it.
Yeah, if you have enough Forest Oak and you have enough willpower, you can recover from this one. I didn't build for willpower because I didn't feel like it. And usually what kills me in Dream Eaters is the enemies, so I usually build for evasion. And there's also a weird lot of evasion cards. And also, like, the cards, the treacheries that test your brain also let you commit other stuff to them.
Yeah, they do.
So I weirdly don't build into willpower. I gave Jenny guts. I don't know why. You had 2 guts in your deck. I feel like you never got the chance to use them, really. Or you were kind of like looking for excuses to throw them at me sometimes.
Oh, maybe I should have used them more tactfully. I usually just kind of burn those pretty quickly because I figure, like, I don't know, if it gets me through a test and gets me another card, I get to the other things I want.
Yeah.
And I would rather just like even if I only protects me from like 1 damage, it's like that might matter at
Yeah.
the end game. So let's just do it now and get something more valuable.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah. So,
All right.
yeah, this is a fun one. I really like this scenario. I think this is actually
Yeah.
probably one of my favorite scenarios in the pack. Yeah, I feel pretty
Agreed.
comfortable
Yeah.
saying that. Yeah, actually.
Fun.
I think this might be my favorite scenario in the pack, actually. Huh.
Yeah. I don't mind how tough it is.
No.
I really enjoy it.
It
Yeah.
feels very surmountable, and very like doable, and like there's a very like I feel like I know how to beat this one generally, and I think I just kind of got in my head when we were playing it, and I was a little
I mean, the scare tactics are really strong with this because
Yeah.
the enemies this one we drew all the lighter, like, quote unquote easier enemies kind of early, and then at the end it was like Moon Beast, Moon Bayaki, and it was like, oh my god.
Yeah, it was like, oh crap, we've revealed the other surface. They can spawn here now.
yeah, it was like, oh no.
Yeah.
So there was a nice bit of overwhelmingness happening there. That was
Yeah.
cool.
All right, let's talk about the other 3, which is Point of No Return. I'm really glad I put the titles on these slides so I would remember what the scenarios are called. This was a good scenario too. I actually really like this one too.
Yeah, it's fun.
I do feel like, and I still feel like this one feels a little bit more like you have a way to, like, there's just a way to do it and you do it that way every time. But that's okay. It's kind of like nice to be able to take a break, I think, before you get to the finales, which are kind of, well, one's really tough, but we'll get to that, and one's kind of got some dumb things you can do. If you're the clue.
Yeah. I mean, you can avoid the one path to get the exit point.
Yeah.
Which we didn't do. We made sure we got that. And we wasted so much time making that happen.
We wasted
so I feel
so
like,
much time.
yeah, I honestly feel like, because we got lucky on the way out. Like, I kind of felt like it was not undeserved, but it was a little like, ooh, that was pretty close.
Yeah, we really we scraped by, and we really shouldn't have, but not because the scenario was hard, but because we wasted so much time just going back and forth up there and like not killing that stupid Gug that was just standing there the whole time.
he was just like he was like a 5-fight.
Yeah,
I was like, I can't just.
No, I don't want to fight that.
I don't know if I can throw this guy full of lead like 3 times over.
Like,
that's a lot.
But
That's a lot of bullets. I'm gonna have to.
Yeah, but you are right on this one. Like, you don't have to. You can just leave. You don't have to mess with him.
Just leave.
Which I think is like kind of makes this one a little bit easier than the Dark Side of the Moon. Like, the Dark Side of the Moon, you have to kind of go through everything.
Yeah.
Except for, like, weirdly the Corsairs, because they just sit at a city location and are happy there. But yeah, that with the big fight enemy you can just walk away from. And we also got lucky because we never drew the Dole, which was cool.
Yes.
I liked not drawing the Dole. That makes this scenario a lot more mellow, honestly.
Yeah, the Dole. Do you have any thoughts on the Dole? Because he didn't show up, so he wasn't super memorable this time around. I mean, I find he doesn't show up that often in solo either, I think, because, he just requires so many cards to be in play first before he can really do anything.
Or you do this the veiled side on, like, the place where, like, the sea, I don't know, it's not the Sea of Pitch, it's the other one, or the Bone Pit.
Oh, and then he pops up out of that?
He'll just pop up there and you put a Dole Tunnel there or whatever. And then, like, the thing that sucks about him, so if you are going for, like, a complete of this, I think this one's really hard to complete. Do like get 100% of the victory on, because you have to if you get that victory on the Sea of Bones or whatever it is, the Dole pops up. He's a victory. If you kill him, he goes to the victory display, but if you draw a dual tunnel after that, he comes out of the victory display and you have to kill him again.
Yeah, that's so annoying. Oh my
So
gosh,
this
I
one,
hate that.
I think this one is really hard if you're trying to do everything. We didn't try and do everything. We just wanted to get out because we
Yeah.
faffed about so much trying to open a stupid stone door.
But that was important we did that because
Yeah.
if we had not done that, we would have gone insane at the end of this campaign.
Yeah.
That was our exit point to protect
No,
us.
I
So,
am really glad
yeah.
we did that because we did not. Spoilers for the next scenario we talk about. We didn't do very well there, and we needed to win on one side to do something. So,
Yes.
one other thing I want to talk about with this one is the Sea of Pitch. It's weird, and I kind of forgot that I don't like the one Sea of Pitch. It's like shuffle all the Seas of Pitch together, and
I don't like that either.
yeah.
I think in multiplayer it's not so bad. You can have your players go out, collect like the clues. I mean, heck, you can even just go onto the next two locations, like get all of them.
Yeah.
Right?
And then just have
and
one
then just
person
reveal and
flipping them.
reveal. Yeah, and one person flipping them. But like in solo, it's not that much. It's just I don't know. It's a little annoying. It's like go over here now and like try again, and you just have to keep doing that until you get it. So it does. I mean, I guess to its credit, it creates a lot of ambiguity about how difficult that final push is going to be.
Yeah.
So if you waste that time early on, you don't know if it was time you could have afforded to lose. In our case, we could have afforded it, but we didn't know that.
Yeah. I like that. I do like the ambiguity at the ending. I don't like the ambiguity of the ending when you're still shuffling Ancient Evils back into the deck every time the agenda flips. Like, I feel like because both this one and Dark Side of the Moon have that, right, where they shuffle the decks back, they shuffle the encounter discard pile that has Ancient Evils in it or doesn't into the encounter deck each time the agenda flips or each time the act flips or whatever. I hate it a lot more in this one because the enemies are big and strong, and I don't know how much time I have in this one. Like, I don't know what the game looks like. I feel like I have a pretty good idea mid-scenario of Dark Side of the Moon how much longer this is going to go, if things go well and if things go badly. But in this one, the end of the scenario, I was like, I don't know, we could have... It could be this turn, could be 3 turns from now when we're doomed out.
Yeah, it does make it kind of swingy in the end there.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I don't know.
But we won it, so...
We did win. And that's all that matters.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think my opinion of this one has changed much, even though we did win it, because I feel like that's kind of somehow... I win this one or I lose this one, and I don't really know which I do more of. I think that is something that's, I guess, good for it. Like, it kind of helps it replay it. Like, I never know, like, how easy of a time I'm going to have in Point of No Return.
Do you feel like this one's easier than other dream scenarios?
Than other waking scenarios or other dream side scenarios?
Or other waking scenarios, I mean.
Sometimes. I guess. Not really. Sometimes.
But, yeah, I mean, that's good.
I'm going to settle on sometimes.
I think that's fine for it. Yeah, I think it's a good scenario. If it leaves us really questioning how difficult it is, that's probably a good thing.
Yeah.
Unlike the next one, where there's no real question about how difficult it is.
So, caveat with this one, we didn't play the full scenario. We cannot talk about how difficult it is overall. We only played the first part because we died in the first part.
Which I think says quite enough. About how hard it is.
It's like it was a spectacular disaster.
It was terrible.
It was really bad.
There was no, I don't think any deck, investigator. I don't even think Wendy could have, because if I was Wendy, I would have thrown away a card, redrawn the auto fail, back into the auto fail.
Yeah.
That's what it would have done. And it was like, because that happened like 3 or 4 times. I was like, oh, okay. Like, I'm just not passing this. I don't get to do anything.
Yeah. We got really bodied. And I actually, like, honestly, caveat, I don't know how well we can talk about the actual difficulty of this scenario because the Chaos Bag was so mean to us.
Yeah, the Chaos Bag was
and
really,
our
really
own
malicious.
decks actually were really mean to us too. Like, because you drew your weakness at a really inopportune time. I think.
Yep. Yeah, because I had the freaking. It was taking horror from that, but I had like 3 enemies on me.
Yeah,
It's like I
yeah.
can't do everything.
And
Like
then
I need a token to pass
I
here.
was just sitting there like, we have to advance the game state too. I gotta just go.
It was just so over. But
Yeah,
I
you
mean,
were just like, fine, I'll deal with everything myself. And I was like, I'm sorry, we're not gonna win.
yeah. I was like, just go, I guess.
I'm
Like,
just getting
whatever.
victory.
I'm
Yeah.
just gonna make my peace here. We're gonna have this fight, and we're gonna do this with everything I got because that's all the game wants me to do. And like, I eventually did pull out through most of that. I killed the enemies. We got rid of
Yeah.
the weakness. It's like, oh my gosh! But it just like it delayed us round after round after round. It's
Yeah.
like each time we would conquer a round, it would like set us back another one. So it was one of those situations where it's a step forward and then two back.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
oh man,
I honestly think I knew it
Yeah.
was over from like turn 4 when I committed that survival instinct so you could go down and kill a cultist before the agenda advanced, and then you drew an autofail, and I was like, well, shit, that's all I had for this. 2 enemies.
Right. I also just feel like though that is a testament to how hard it is. Like one auto fail and that scenario tanked.
I did.
That was
Yeah.
it.
I mean,
And like,
yeah.
and there wasn't like anything like else I could have had. Like, I mean, if I had passed that, yeah, I could have gone down and solved that problem then and there.
Well,
But
okay.
it's like the same thing was going to happen again in another situation where things get locked in, and it's like if you auto fail this, we can't pull out.
It wasn't
you
one.
know?
It wasn't one auto fail. It was drawing the biggest enemy in the deck randomly to drawing another enemy to an auto fail to drawing a cultist that was like going to advance us on Doom to an auto fail. But yeah, it was. I will give you like this scenario doesn't pull punches. This is the hardest scenario in Dream Eaters by probably a long margin.
Yeah.
I just think that the other scenarios in the Dream side are pretty easy to make up for it. So, and it gives you a lot of VP to do it, I guess. But yeah, this is not an easy scenario. And I think generally my opinion on that hasn't changed. This has always been like, yeah, this is the hardest scenario.
Yeah, this one is not nice.
Yeah.
And even every time I go into it, like, I mean, I'm trying my best here, like, and so I'm like, okay, I know we got to deal with that, the high priest guy, and then we got to get in to get these clues. And we did early on in the campaign, we got a lot of like signs of the gods or whatever. So it was not that many clues we had to get.
It was just
so
like,
I was like, oh, that's so manageable. We can handle that. So like, it was there, but then like just getting bodied, like you said, with all those enemies that were just impossible to deal with. Yeah,
it was
and then it throws cards in your hand that say like you can't play cards anymore. It was like, okay, well, fuck, like I don't know what I'm supposed to do.
Yeah, I will say like the thing that's weird about Where the Gods Fall is it wants you to tech for it, even though it's gonna throw that random garbage at you that says you can't do this or can't do that. But it does want you to like be prepared to do exactly this or exactly that and really punish you. And I think that's kind of where the difficulty comes from. Like I feel like none of the other scenarios on the Dream side have that where they're like, you have to specifically do this thing.
Yeah.
But here's some random bullshit you have to deal with as well. And yeah, I think this is where I get annoyed for the like, but it's not even like the stupid laws of Yiggorath. I don't really care that like I'm so used to just drawing those and being like, sweet, free mythos phase.
I hate those cards so much. I think next time I play through 3 meters, I'm gonna read those cards again and just build my decks in such a way as to just avoid them entirely, so I don't have to pay attention. I did that before one time where I built a solo deck. I was Carolyn, so it didn't work out that well.
Yeah,
but
not enough.
I mean, I had good runs and bad runs through the campaign through all my testing. But like, yeah, just teching for that alone is just such a weight off, because even if I wanted to discard a card to get rid of it, it's like, oh, that's going to provoke 5 attacks of opportunity. I can't do that. Like, that's crazy. Whereas like, it's like this guy's swarming. Like I can't get hit by that. I have to deal with this now. And you just said I can't play any of my cards.
Yeah.
Like how is this a fair situation to be in?
Yeah. This is you're not getting any argument from me on this side. On this scenario. This is not, especially when compared with, if you don't mind a segue, our next scenario. Yes, this scenario is so easy.
This is a disgusting comparison. We
It
just
really
destroyed
is.
this.
Like, okay, there's some difficulty if you get unlucky in like the beginning and you advance an agenda before you get to the second phase. Like, yeah, it can be kind of
That will hurt.
it can hurt.
Mhm.
If you get
Ancient evils a lot. You're in trouble.
I mean, not, I don't know. Like, I feel like that's honestly fine. Like, this scenario is built with ancient evils in mind, and it shows. I feel like something that like maybe happened is like when they were testing the scenario was at one point really hard, and then they undercut it and added that like thing on the act in the second thing that's like you can just deal.
You spend clues to deal damage.
Why can you deal 3 damage with 1 clue?
It's so much.
It's so
they
much.
Just did not. No.
Like, I get it. The clues
2 at most.
Clues don't do anything in this scenario. And, like, that's frustrating for Kluver to get to the scenario and be like, ah, crap, I can't do anything. But it shouldn't, like, take the fighter's cool boss battle from them.
Yeah, which is exactly what it does.
Yeah.
And that's my big critique with this one. Is it? I mean, it was fine when we played. I did most of the killing. And then having you come in to pick up the pieces was really helpful.
But we literally gave ourselves other things to do for me to go, like, just rescue people. So that, like, I wasn't just, like...
Right. Right, exactly. Like, the rescue mechanic, actually, I think is a great addition.
I think that was really fun, yeah.
And I think everybody should play it that way with concealed. I mean, if you want to play it with concealed mechanics, too, like actual concealed where you have to test, you can do that. We talked about doing that, and I was like, this is enough. We probably could have, though. Yeah, I think we would have been fine.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, and we got, like, also, I think, like, we crushed the scenario, and also we got really lucky with the locations. I think I talked about this a little bit, but, like, getting, like, the 3 One Shroud locations as, like, 3 of our 4 first revealed locations was just, like, wow, and, like, the min deck was really built for cheating clues off locations already, so spending an extra action was like, I could just pick it up instead.
Yeah.
But, yeah. I wish you could do something else with clues. I wish it wasn't damage. I wish it was like move Atlatnacha, so like counterclockwise or clockwise once, like, or evade a leg or something like that. Just so the fighter could still do cool stuff. Because I don't like this. I love this scenario. I don't like how many times I've showed up as the fighter only to have like someone playing Daisy just kill the entire spider while I'm sitting there shooting a web spinner because they can't kill the web spinner. And they're like, it's more efficient if you just shoot this tiny little Doom spider while I take out the giant boss. And I'm like... Yeah,
like, why can't you spend the clues to kill him, like the little spider?
Yeah, why can't it just be like, spend a clue, nuke a small spider, but the big spider, that's for the big guns, Like, I don't know. Instead of... I guess because the objective is to kill the big spider and not the little spiders. And you want to be able to do this with a solo investigator, I guess.
Right, but if you solo Seeker, you can still kill the spider with Seeker cards.
Yeah.
Like, which is like, I mean, this is like a broader problem with the game, or problem, I guess if you want to see it that way. I personally don't think Seekers should be able to deal damage basically at all. Like, none.
I disagree.
Like, maybe, but, 1 or 2. Because I think, like, thematically, it's more interesting if you have different characters, like, they specialize. Like, Daisy's a librarian. She's not a murderer. Like, she has a hard time just killing. Like, she would have a hard time squishing a spider in her own house.
Yeah.
So I feel like you can use the clues to do something that's objective enough to, like, get through this scenario. Like, maybe, like, I'm fine with the clues dealing damage. Like, I really am. I just think, like, 2 damage is, like, enough. Like, if it has to be that way, then, like, fine. But because, like, Seekers can fight, now I'm like, okay, well, then forget that. They don't need to do the damage. It's like you said, they should move the spider or move the investigator or something, because it doesn't make sense. They just need to tech now. They need to go and get cards that deal damage.
Yeah.
Like, make them do that now.
Yeah, exactly.
Because you already printed those cards, so
they have access to
those. Or they
to
can
those...
off-class and get it.
But yeah, and, like, if they're playing this campaign, they have access to at least a couple of those, right? Like, they have...
Right.
Mind over matter. It's in the core box. You can punch with your book now. Congratulations. Right. I don't know if that's enough, but like,
you would play that, and then you have 3 action, punch them 3 times.
It honestly is. Yeah, it actually is enough. Even if you're soloing, like, just go to a low shroud location. Their fight value is that low shroud. You have mind over matter, and then when big Atlatnacha comes out, you get I've got a plan and just blast her with clues because you can already do that in Seeker.
Yeah, use the clues, move her to your location, make it a one-shot location, commit unexpected courage or overpower. Now you're 3, you're 2 up
Just take a
from your one
knife.
fight.
Just
You're
take a
fine. Take
freaking
a
knife.
Just knife it.
Um,
Knife once and then throw it.
yeah, yeah. I know. Like I've seen like there's a fan design for like the Return to Dream Eaters that's coming out, and I remember like reading a design notes that was like, yeah, I made it so that the clues only did 2 damage, and I was like, that's right direction. I don't know if it's enough.
Yeah, I'm with you. You've convinced me. I think no damage from the clues now. Forget that. Bring a knife. That's what I
There's
say.
more interesting things you can do with the clues, and I don't really get the thematics of like doing damage with the clues. I guess like that's kind of like if it was spend a clue to like, I don't know,
Cut the spider web or
cut
something?
the spider web, but then that it makes more sense for the spider leg to move, right? And maybe it becomes like
Right.
a more
Actually, if it removed locations,
yeah.
maybe that would be good,
That'd be
because then
kinda
you could
interesting.
choose a location with a lot of doom. You pull it out from the pool. I mean, she would rotate, but
Or
then you would
remove
just
a
shrink it
doom.
so that...
Oh, that's good. Spend a clue, remove a doom.
Actually, yeah.
That's great.
Remove
Solved
would be
it.
good.
All right, all right.
Yeah, that would be good. All right.
Yeah, we should stop railing on this small piece. Is there anything else about this that I really like? Yeah, I mean the boss is really fun to fight. I like the orb spinners that put Doom on the locations, and I do like the tension of after you cut off her legs, Atlas Nacho just starts running around and dropping Doom everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
That's
And
cool.
that, actually, I will say, when she did that, she literally got us down to like one more round.
Yeah.
Like we were on the last round. So
Yeah.
it was easy the whole time, but it's also like, you know, like one more action. Like if any of those were not a guarantee to kill her, right, we would have lost.
Yeah, that's
So
true.
she was close to winning, even though it didn't feel like it.
I mean, well, we also spent I think a total of 6 actions just flipping over concealed cards. So
I mean, that's fair.
I don't know.
I also think we're good.
No, go for it.
I was gonna say we can't, I think, not talk about just the cool card design
It's so
that
fun.
they came up with.
Yeah.
I think it was Maxine's idea to have like the spider and then have like the other cards like connect to it, or have like a bigger portrait and then have it rotate around.
It's such a cool.
Very, very innovative design. I mean, it makes the scenario super memorable. So
Yeah.
I think it doesn't matter like how easy it is, almost, just because it's like that. Well, that's cool.
Yeah.
That is a very nifty thing you did there.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, this is probably one of the easiest scenarios in the campaign. So, well, actually, I don't know. No, I've lost on it before. I have lost on it before. I feel like
I don't think I've ever lost this one. Have I?
I have, and it was because I tried to find like I think I got like a bunch of 4-shard locations in the first part, and I was like, I'm gonna try and find something better, and then I got down to the bottom, and there was like one with no clues, and I was like, well, crap, I have to go back up, and there's orb spinners everywhere, and get like
Oof.
yeah. So that was you can get like kind of ousted with that. You can get bad luck, and like also when she comes out of like her final form, if you start drawing really high negative tokens, she puts like 4 doom on locations. Because you're both chasing her, or all 3 of you are chasing her on the same location.
Yeah.
That gets a little
Yeah,
rough.
like I could see it spinning out of control,
Ha.
but I just don't know that I've experienced that so much myself. It's generally pretty manageable. Yeah, I don't know. Like the mechanics are set up to be super swingy,
Yeah.
and like I hear what you're saying, that does make sense, but it just seems like it's very rare.
Yeah, I think it's only happened to me once, maybe twice. Maybe twice. But I also, so grain of salt, I think, for this whole argument, one of my favorite ways to play Dream Eaters is with a challenge that I do for myself. It's called Sleep Eaters, where I get up at 5 a.m. and play Dream Eaters. So, grains of salt.
No impact on your evaluation at all, I'm sure.
Dream side's easy. You just kind of chill through it. And Waking side's hard. They kill
Well,
you.
maybe that's the tech for the dream side.
Just
It's
be sleepy.
Very, very tired. You won't care as much, and you'll just be satisfied with the outcome, and then you won't think it's that hard.
Yeah. Honestly, that just be content, and the dream side's really nice. It's your own pride that's making it hard. That's all. Okay, so do we have a definitive answer? No, I think I still think that the Waking Side's harder, except for the last scenario.
After the last scenario on Dreamside, I feel absolutely no inclination to change my position.
That's fair. I do grant you that. That's the one that I think I kind of flipped a little bit on. And
Yeah, I mean, I
saw your
flipped a
point.
little on Kadath. I flipped a little on like the fractions of them, but the campaign, no, it's the same.
Yeah, I think I'm
All
at the
right.
same place. So actually, you talked about a challenge, and I think what we should do for a challenge next time is take these same decks but switch sides. So
That would be a good idea.
Jenny and Lola, so we can get a proper evaluation of who does worse. It's gonna be Jenny and Lola again.
I think so.
Yeah.
I don't think it's a scenario.
Yeah, no.
I do feel like not that I felt like the decks were bad. I didn't think they were bad at all, and I thought they held up pretty good considering the campaign they were up against. So if anything, that was like a bonus point for them. The fact that we weren't using like overpowered, super strong investigators. So if anything, I thought that was like a point in its favor. It's just yeah, like because Mark and Min I think was a more largely more competent team just for the
Yeah.
fact that like having like +2 on a ping is very helpful. Extra icon puts you over that -3 a lot of the time. There's just a lot of things that were very, very useful for us.
Yeah.
Like I said, I could have built them a little bit better, but like that could be said, I guess, about any deck.
I think so too. Like we're not going for like I mean, I think this is probably the closest we've tried to go for efficiency, and even then you were like, you're never
Yeah.
going to take an investigation action as a seeker, and I was like, I'm going to play Lola. So
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I wanted the fun Min deck because we had Min and I had most of the cards. And I thought, well, that could be fun. Like, I
Yeah.
wanted to, yeah, like my goal was for you to have fun more
Yeah.
than it was to be like, oh, I'm gonna prove to you this is easier. Like that was just like a fun side gig we were doing
Yeah,
just
yeah, yeah.
for entertainment. But yeah, I had fun on both sides of the campaign either way. So
Yeah. Me
I mean, I
too.
even had fun losing. I think like sometimes when we play, one of us gets kind of frustrated and the other can kind of laugh it off. And I felt like that happened with the dream side scenario this time where the gods dwell, because I think you were a little like, I can't believe how mean this is. And I was like, I'm not in disbelief. I'm just like,
Yeah.
sure, this scenario is tough. I don't know
We
how
should
much I want to try.
we should always disagree about the difficulty of a scenario. Then one of us will always
We
be like,
should.
I told you so.
This is evidence for us, fuel for us to be stubborn.
Yeah, yeah. That's what we get. We just won't learn our lesson. It's fine. Okay, so we should move on to the next thing. So
Sure.
before we do this, we are going to be taking a break, a pretty long hiatus, because
Yes.
I'm going to be getting married soon, and holy crap, wedding planning sucks. It's yeah, it's hard. I have to yell at people all the time, and I don't like yelling at people, but they're not doing what they're supposed to do. What I'm paying.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we're gonna do that. We're gonna take a break. We'll probably still be recording between then and now, which is gonna be sometime. We'll be releasing our next stuff in May, but we are going to be announcing kind of like the decks we're going to be playing and the campaign we're going to be playing next, which is Scarlet Keys. So let's go ahead and voila! Wow, look at this pretty slide.
Yeah. So just as a quick update, I know we said we were going to go back and do Lord of the Rings
Thank you,
next.
yeah.
We were going to go back and forth, but we enjoyed playing Arkham so much that we weren't kind of burnt out on it quite yet. So we'll do Scarlet Keys, and then we'll probably break and do
Then we'll be
Lord of the
burnt
Rings
out.
is our backup game to jump into in case we're just a little bit burnt on Arkham stuff and we need a bit of a break.
Yeah.
But we're kind of excited that we were going to Scarlet Keys next, and we had some good ideas for the decks we were going to play. So we said, let's just do this one next for the heck of it.
Yup. Yeah. So I'm just gonna talk a little bit about my deck, and then you can talk a little bit about yours. Is that okay? Sweet. I kind of guessed that I was going to be lead investigator on this one, but I don't know. That's why I put myself up at the top. I'm just a fighter, so sometimes we default to that.
I thought I would be lead because I'm Clover, but I mean, you can be on top.
Okay,
If that makes you feel better.
that's good. I'm glad that I can be there. Yeah. So I'm playing an Akashi Onyele deck. I'm going to be doing the big like crux of the deck is like Runic Axe exists and it has charges on it, so I can level it up a bunch. And so that's kind of like the rest of it's kind of just gravy. I'm playing a couple spells so I can like clear my angered spirits, and do a little bit of flexing with a rite of seeking if I need to. I like scrying because it sometimes helps me control the deck a little bit better, which, you know, I like the upgraded scrying a lot more. This level 0 scrying is just fuel for Torrents of Power and Anchored Spirits, but maybe I'll use it. Who knows? Then I am playing some Doom stuff. So I'm playing a Ceremonial Sickle. I'm playing David Renfield. I have a level 0 Blood Pact because apparently it's a spell. And I did grab... I realized that the Moonlight Ritual level 2 is in Scarlet Keys. So I can upgrade into that with Arcane Research.
Oh, nice.
And then I was like, wow, there's actually a ton of stuff I can do with Arcane Research. XP is a little bit tight in Scarlet Keys, in my experience, which is slightly limited. But I was like, yeah, sweet, I'll do that. And then the other thing that I think I kind of want to point out is I have an Enraptured, so I can commit an Enraptured to your test and get more charges, because charges are good. Oh, no, it's Torrent of Power with Runic Axe, which is really fun, because Runic Axe replenishes its charges, so you can just kind of get free really big numbers.
Nice. Yeah, your deck looks solid. We did some brainstorming with it, and I'm a little squeamish about the Doom you're going to be messing with, so let's hope those Moonlight Rituals pull their weight.
I'm good at Doom. I've been a Mystic since day one, so I've learned how to manage it. I main Amina. It's fine.
Well, in case it's not fine, I will be playing Finn Edwards and moving as quickly as humanly possible. So I wanted to play Seeker, or like a Kluver type character. And I'm also trying to challenge myself to play characters I've never played before. So I've never played Finn, and he seems like kind of the style I want to be doing next game, which is just really, really, really fast. And so I took Damning Testimony. And to be clear, not all the Scarlet Keys cards get unlocked all at once. We only start with like a little bit. We fragmented out at certain intervals in the campaign. So, you know, if you don't see something in here that you're like, oh, why didn't you take this to be perfect? It might just be something we have to pick up later.
Yeah.
But yeah, I took Damning Testimony for extra clues. For my off class, I grabbed 2 copies of Grim Memoir because this is going to be a 6-8x2 deck. So we use the Grim Memoir and we get an extra card. And then we have a Lucky Cigarette Case and we get an extra card from that. And then we have Gregory Gry bet for us. And then we get some resources out of that. And then if you want to throw in like Manual Dexterity or a Watch This, you could get like, you know, 3, 4, 5 cards from one investigate action, which is the grand ideal. That will probably never happen, but who cares? That is the goal. So I figure I'm just going to go through my deck as fast as possible, just tutor up everything. I took Embezzled Treasure. I'll get that extra money and just dump it into there, help us for future scenarios. I took 1 copy of Refined, maybe save me a little bit of XP, and then you handle this one for those willpowers.
Yeah, those are going to me. It's okay. I accept this. That's what my David Renfield's for, I guess. Yeah. No, this looks like a fun deck to play too. I really like. I'm kind of seeing it a little bit more now that you're explaining like the idea of it. I think Refine is like you can check anyone's. Is it anyone's customizable?
If it's
card?
anyone's, that's interesting. Yeah, because then I could use it on yours.
Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't expect you to be clear, but
I probably won't. But I mean, I don't know that I need that many upgrades on Damning Testimony. I think I'm going to get the +2 intellect and the extra. Well, actually, I'm not sure because I'm pretty sure this campaign targets assets with high cost values, and Damning Testimony is an asset with a high cost. So unless I swap in another card that has a high cost, then this is going to be the prime target for that. So, I mean, I can block it with you handle this one. That's like one way to do it, but then it's like you might lose something precious as well. So I kind of need to see how the first scenario goes and probably pick up some adaptables. Like, for example, you know, I have Take Heart to start with just to make sure I get enough clue or resources and cards early on. But I'll probably need to swap that for Perseverance because it's really important that I stay alive in later scenarios. The first one I think I'm pretty confident in, but yes, the things like that to think about.
Yeah. Well, cool. This is gonna be a fun campaign. I hope. I think it's gonna be great. I've said that about my last 2 times playing Scarlet Keys and had some bad times, but I think this time This time. It'll be fun. I am playing a Mystic, which is kind of a bad idea, but I'll have an axe. It's okay. It's okay. I'll be able to hit things with an axe or a sickle. I don't know. What am I doing?
I mean, Akachi has really strong stats overall.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
if you want to go into something like Empower Self or whatever, you could like that might be a good pathway to take potentially. I don't know.
I don't think that's necessarily the way I'm going, but maybe I could. Yeah, maybe. I
I guess you got the Living Ink to boost your stats. Yeah.
I got the Living Ink, and that's gonna be a fist. Oh, actually, can I take that, or is that not in the? Wow, these decks may be subject to change because I may have accidentally put a card that wasn't in like the first Mythos packized pack of Scarlet Keys in there, which is Living Ink. Hey, I thought I checked that, but I'm not sure now.
Either way, you could always upgrade into it, like purchase
yeah.
it later.
Yeah.
With the XP, which is good.
If it's not in that first Mythos packized pack, I'm gonna just say it's Delve Two Deeps. And we'll just
I'm not gonna complain. I'm happy with that.
We'll just get some extra.
I'll move fast.
We'll get some extra VP, and then I'll just get some more. I'll get Living Ink in the next time. Yeah.
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 I basically have like no way to boost my skills passively, so I'm just counting on drawing cards. And like I got a nasty weakness. What was it? Drawing the sign. It reduces my hand size, so I'm probably gonna have to always discard that every time it pops up, which is annoying. But I mean, hopefully it won't be too bad. If I'm moving fast enough, taking one turn to discard it shouldn't be the end of the world.
That's like my
Hopefully.
least favorite weakness. Drawing the sign. Every time I get it, I always am like so frustrated with it because I always read it as like you reduce your hand size to 5, and I'm like, okay, cool, I can choose these 5 cards. Then it's like reduce your hand size by 5, and I'm like, oh no, this is much worse.
Yeah, it's pretty brutal. You don't get to keep 3.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to it. I've actually not played all the scenarios in Scarlet Keys. I played through it once on my own. I really liked it. I had a great time, but I'm hearing that I probably didn't stumble across some of the meaner, less fun scenarios. I mean, I did do Dead Heat, which I thought was terrible.
Dead Heat's great!
At all.
Oh, it's such a fun.
You don't get anything.
No,
it
just hits you. It just hits you, but I love it. I want there to be more. I want there to be more Arkham scenarios like that are just like, yeah, you like that, don't you?
That's like masochistic.
A little bit. I mean, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I might be, because I looked through it again and I was like, okay, I remember the 2 I haven't done. One was the one in China, and the other was the Dogs of War. I didn't do that one either.
That one's
so
fine.
I missed 2.
I mean,
yeah.
I think the other thing, like with the evaluation of all of the Scarlet Keys scenarios, so grain of salt with everything I say about all these scenarios. They change based on when you play them.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Sometimes they could be really fun. I don't know if you played Dead Heat later. I heard that's really bad. Dead Heat early.
I played
was really
it early,
fun.
actually.
I had a lot of fun with it.
Early. I did early, and afterwards I looked through all the different resolutions to see if there was anything positive that you get out of it, and there's nothing.
No, it
and
just wants you to hurt. Well, the last blossom is really good. The key you can get from that scenario is really good.
Okay, so there is something.
Yeah.
Because my goodness, I just felt like I got beat up, and I was like, this isn't fun.
I think that's actually maybe my favorite key as well.
Okay.
Also, there's like a undead lion. Spoilers, but wow, that's cool.
It sounds like we are going to be trading off too.
That's our challenge.
Tentative plan.
Yeah.
Of who gets to choose where we go. We'll probably alternate, so you'll get to pick where we go on the map, and then I'll pick next time.
Yeah. So I was thinking like we should treat it like it has peril. Like we can make a decision, but we can't help each other at all to make that decision.
That's good.
Yeah. So it's we always send each other to the ticket office without giving each other clear instructions or something like that. You know. It's just like, go pick up the tickets to the next place. Cool, I'll go. Oh, where were we going? I'll just decide on the way.
Yeah, that sounds good. That sounds like fun. I'm in.
Cool.
And I guess you would keep choosing. So are you choosing until you get to a scenario, or are you choosing just the next point? Probably till you get to a scenario, right?
Yeah, I can see it either way. We'll talk about it offline, and we'll kind of when we come back, we'll clarify it. We'll have the video that has like all the cards that are in like the base pack of Scarlet Keys Mythos packized thing, and we'll talk more about what our challenge is going to be, and I don't know what else we'll do. Maybe we'll read the introduction. Probably not. But we'll see.
Yeah, I'm not sure because there's a lot of reading in Scarlet Keys, so
We got to
we don't
figure
want to
that out
just sit
too.
here and read for like an hour and a half without a scenario. So we're gonna brainstorm. We're gonna brainstorm. We'll figure it out. We'll find some way to kind of smoothly, as eloquently as possible, transition us.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. All right. Well,
Actually, are you ready to close this out?
I was thinking about closing us out, so if you got something else to say.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, like, maybe this would be a good time to ask for some feedback from y'all. I mean, I know you're not too chatty in the comments, which is totally fine. But if you do have some feedback, I have a couple questions. One is, how do you like Tabletop Simulator versus Octagon? Is that nice to watch? Do you prefer that? I mean, I think Tom and I are enjoying it, but it would be nice to know kind of what your viewing experience of it is.
Mm-hmm.
I imagine a lot of people are probably just listening, but yeah, it would be good to know either way. And then, what do you think about the possibility of us maybe skipping some of the reading sections in Scarlet Keys, or if there's another solution, like maybe we would just skip some of it and just recap it real brief, and then we would read like the intro for the scenario or something like that. I forget how it breaks down exactly, but I don't know, because it is a lot of reading, and it could be a good like chunk of time. And then the Mythos Pack Eyes thing, where we talk about that's probably going to be there for Scarlet Keys, and it'll make more sense in that context because
Yeah.
we've broken up the cards.
Yeah.
And so, like, if you don't see that, then it's like, how? Like, with the other campaigns, we weren't really doing that because it didn't matter. And then we started implementing that with Dream Meters. But now it's like, if you're following with us on progression dictates that, you can't get all the cards so quickly in a big dump. So you have to segment it.
Yeah.
So,
and those will be separate videos. We have talked about that. We are going to make those opening the Mythos packs of Scarlet Keys into separate videos that'll show up on Thursdays. So if you don't care about our card reviews, you can just come to Tuesday things, and I don't know, maybe you'll listen to us read a little bit less and just watch us play some things. Yeah, it's great. Thank you for bringing that up. Yeah. If you do want to get in touch with us, you can leave comments on the YouTube, or you can find us around the place on Discord. I am saving 628496 on most of the Discords that are Arkham Horror related. And we also have an email that's just harlanisinddanger@gmail.com, so you can email us there.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anything you want to say or not, I don't care. I'm playing more Arkham.
Yeah. We're doing this for us. This isn't for you. Don't say that, Tom. All right.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for joining us still. And we hope to see you again. And remember, we're taking that hiatus for a couple of months. We're going to give ourselves a little bit of break so Tom can get married. And I have a lot of other things I need to catch up on as well. But Harlan is in Danger. We'll be back with the Scarlet Keys.
And until then,
stay out of danger.